Welcome back to another UCL review with me and Christopher Hamill, talking you through all of the biggest events across Europe last night and the night before as well. Ooh. Hamster, where on earth are we starting?
We're going to start in Bavaria, my friend, and what a game it was. I was actually flicking between this and the Leicester game. This was so much better. Anyway, before they lost 2-1 to Real Madrid last night, the Allianz Arena was a bit of a fortress, wasn't it? Bayern Munich had previously gone 16 games unbeaten in the Champions League, actually winning every single one of those games. It was their first loss at home in 3 years, as you can imagine, with that prior record. And the last loss was against Real Madrid too, when Pep lost 4-0.
That was a battle.
It was an absolute mauling that day. It was 1-0 at half-time, and the game changed massively with 2 key moments. Vidal, my boy, he played really well on the night, non-stop, an absolute phenom in midfield. He blazes a penalty over.
That ball's still travelling now.
Yeah, that was mental. But this guy only knows, he's only got one gear, hasn't he? It's full throttle.
True.
Real Madrid actually went on, after he missed the penalty, to have 12 shots, my friend. 12 shots on target, that is. They actually had 23 shots.
That's ridiculous.
12 shots on target with Manny Neuer making 10 saves. This could have been an absolute battering as well. And it's the first time in 45 games that Bayern Munich have had less than 50% possession after the Javi Martinez sending off. After 61 minutes, you'd kind of expect that to happen.
True.
And the actual average age of that Bayern squad, 5 of them are over 30. 4 of them are over 33.
Jesus.
Only David Alaba was under 26 last night. So you can see why they'd naturally tire anyway.
Yeah, but there was one man over 30 who didn't have any problems with that. It's Cristiano Ronaldo. Of course, he scored his 100th goal in UEFA competitions last night. Ridiculous, ridiculous performance. Let me take you through some of his numbers. 100% take-on success, 92% pass accuracy, 2 chances created, 2 aerial duels won, and of course, 2 goals. In fact, Cristiano Ronaldo on the night had more shots on target than the entire Bayern Munich team. He had 4, Bayern only mustered 3. And this is a guy who's apparently having a poor season by his standards. He's got 38 goals in 41 appearances. He's got 12 assists as well. So he's actually got 50 goal involvements in 41 appearances this season for club and country.
For country as well, I was going to say, confused. He has 26 club goals.
In the last 7 UEFA Champions League seasons, he's got 10+ goals and assists. That's ridiculous. I'm running out of superlatives to describe him. He loves playing against Bayern as well. 6 goals in his last 5 games against Munich. Wow, it's unbelievable. And there's also a couple shouts. I want to give one to Toni Kroos. What a performance. What a metronome in midfield he is. Going back to Bavaria and laying it on them. 98% pass completion on the day. Misplaced just 2 of his 80 attempted passes. Incredible performance. Real Madrid did the business at the Bernabeu now. What do you think the score's going to be? Let us know in the comments below.
Next up, we go to the Vicente Calderon, Joseph, where Atletico beat Leicester, my hometown club, 1-0. You've asked me to go straight in. I'm from Leicester. He thinks I know the club inside out. Anyway,
do it, mate.
Shocking scenes before kick-off for starters.
Disgusting.
With some absolute fucking plums chanting about Gibraltar. If you gave those guys a map, they wouldn't be able to fucking find Gibraltar on it for starters. Anyway, let's escape all that. It's rubbish. It was only a very small selection of a normally good, solid fan base.
Yeah, true.
Leicester, apparently, you've got down here, have since lodged a complaint about the overly aggressive policing, but I tell you what they should be lodging a complaint about.
Go on, mate.
That penalty, mate.
Oh,
it was outside the box.
It was miles outside.
First of all, what is Danny Simpson doing? What is he thinking? Rushing forward from that corner, leaving all Brighton in all sorts of trouble, chasing Griezmann back. That is not a scenario that was ever going to end prettily. Prettily? Yeah, we'll go with that. Again, it was outside the box, but Griezmann dispatches it emphatically past Kasper Schmeichel, who saved his previous 2 penalties in the tournament. Leicester clearly set up just to soak up that pressure.
They did.
Shakespeare's game plan was very clear from the off. Just twat the ball up to Jamie Vardy. I don't think Ndidi or Drinkwater touched the ball for the first 20 minutes. After that, they actually settled, put some okay moves together. Fuchs was getting some nice balls in the box on the left-hand side, as was Albrighton. Still surprised Albrighton's playing at this level of football. Shocks me out every time. Vardy, though, talk about isolation. The guy had less touches than the goalkeeper and completed 1 pass in 70 minutes.
1 pass.
It was Slimani was much more effective when he came on, but then again, Slimani's a more traditional target man, isn't he? Benaloon. I was so worried about him before the game. Yeah. He was absolutely toilet against Everton at the weekend, but he proved me wrong, having a stonking second half, and he's going to need to play well in that return leg, Joseph.
Yes, he is.
Because Huth is banned, and Morgan is crocked. So DeMarty will probably have to start.
Oh dear, but it was no shame.
Put your money on Atleti now.
It was no shame that Leicester lost this one. No English team has ever won at the Vicente Calderon. That was a ridiculous statistic. I couldn't believe it when the commentator said that. And Atletico Madrid, notoriously strong at the back as well. They've now kept 18 clean sheets in their last 21 home UEFA Champions League matches. In fact, they're on great form. Since January, they've only lost 2 games, and both of those were against Barcelona. 7 draws, 12 wins, probably too many draws for Diego Simeone's liking in terms of the league. But in the UEFA Champions League, they're really hard to beat. And up front, they've got one man who's a bit special. Antoine Griezmann, of course, 15 goals in 23 games before this match. And he's now got 5 in 9 in this season's UEFA Champions League. Of course, converted from the penalty spot, like you said. And he's got a very solid team around him. Koke has been playing really, really well. Pinged the upright here, didn't he? Had 2 in 5 before this match. And the man between the sticks, Jan Oblak, potentially the 3rd best goalkeeper in the world behind Manuel Neuer, behind David De Gea. He was ridiculous as ever. He has never conceded in a UEFA Champions League knockout game. How is that a fact? At home. That is ridiculous. And he's got the joint most clean sheets in the Champions League this season with 6, alongside the indomitable Buffon. Schmeichel's got 5 though, so not too bad. But can Leicester turn it around? Vote in the poll, yonder, here.
Probably not.
Over to Turin now, the Juventus stadium, where the old lady dispatched Barcelona 3-0.
Oh, my friend, what a game it was as well. They certainly exacted their revenge, didn't they? They won 3-0 with 2 goals from De Boer. A joke, courtesy of Adam Templeman behind the camera. He is on Twitter now, so get at him. And Chiellini obviously scoring that header. Juventus have now won, Joseph, 16 consecutive home games in all competitions. And are unbeaten in 48, winning 42 of them.
That's ridiculous.
The old lady is a bitch to beat at home. Now, it's actually the first time Juve have scored 3 goals against Barcelona at 2 and won by a margin of more than 1. They're normally their booby team, I mean Barcelona. A lot of people, booby team. Booby team. Old ladies, booby team. But yes, it was a lot of firsts that night. Dybala opened the scoring after 6 minutes. That's the fastest Barca have conceded all season, and it came down that right-hand side. Shock. No Juventus surprise. Were targeting it all night.
Yes.
Matteo looked like the elephant that was scared of the mouse that was Cuadrado's, backing off him all night. And they certainly used that to their advantage. Dybala is the first player to score a brace in the competition for Juve since 2015. Not a great stat, but we threw it in there anyway. They brought Higuain to challenge at this level, didn't they, mate? But it's the little Argentine who stepped up for the big occasion.
He did indeed. He was so deadly on the night. That first time left foot pinger that he scored for his second was ridiculous. In fact, he scored with 2 of his 3 shots on the night, but he had so much more than just finishing. He is a world-class defensive forward at times. He completed 2 tackles because Juventus really did defend from the front. They kind of, when they had the ball, they're in a 4-2-3-1. But when they didn't have the ball, they set up quite defensively, almost 5 at the back. Maybe you could even call it a 4-4-2.
Yeah, Khedira.
And the front 4 actually completed 7 tackles between them. That's a lot. And like you said, the flanks were a big problem for Barcelona. The fullbacks exploited it to perfection. When we look at the attacking zones and how Juventus used the pitch, 41% of Juventus's play came down Sandro's flank. 38% came down Alves's, and just a sad 21% came through the middle. It was a clear plan by Allegri to isolate the wingers that Barcelona had, and on the day, you had to look at that. It was like Iniesta and Roberto, and they're not the strongest players, are they? They're not the best defensive
They're not wingers,
players.
Are they? They came central, really you know, so they wanted to avoid that kind of block in the middle.
And Barcelona now look in real trouble. I don't see them coming back like they did against PSG here, despite the fact they boast the deadliest attack in the Champions League. 26 goals in this season's competition. But Juventus, the sturdiest defence, the meanest bastards at the back, they've conceded just 2 goals. And with Chiellini in sparkling form like he was in Turin on Wednesday night, anything is possible. But it's only going one way. Juventus are going to win this time.
I agree. I think it'll be tight. I think maybe Juve will probably lose 1-0. But if anyone can see it out, is an Italian club, and the meanest Italian club at that. This is the first time Barca have actually lost consecutive away games in the Champions League under Luis Enrique.
Really? That's mental.
Why is this, Joe?
Let's
take a closer look.
Have a look for me.
That's what we like to do on Football Daily. Well, we think it's because Barca recruited quite poorly in 2016, even though they spent 122 million euros. And that's just initially. They have add-ons to pay as well. And 6 of those players they recruited were actually under the age of 22 as well. So there was a clear plan there.
Doing a Dortmund.
Bring in these youngsters, bed them into the side, hope they come good in a year's time, but it hasn't worked. Paco Alcácer, they bought him to give Suarez a rest. It's not worked, has it?
Not worked
He
at
scored
all.
1 La Liga goal in 20-odd appearances. I mean, most of them have been off the bench, but it's meant that Suarez has had to play the whole time because he's just not been good enough. They've been better off keeping Munir, who's gone on loan to Valencia, hasn't he? He's actually scored 6 goals and got 3 assists in 18 appearances. That's a much better return than Paco's. Digne, also very odd.
That was a weird one. I knew it was strange when he arrived with that plaster on his face.
And I mean, PSG didn't put up much of a fight in terms of keeping it, did they? 16 million for him. Andre Gomez, I mean, he was better than, say, Rakitic when he came on, but he looks an odd fit.
50 million euros as well, Andre Gomez.
He doesn't move the ball like Iniesta. He doesn't tackle like Sergio Busquets. In fact, he makes 1 tackle a game. Busquets makes 3. They've still not replaced Dani Alves, a man who punished them on the night.
Yes.
Mate. What do Barcelona need to do to resolve this situation? Who do they need to sign? Let us know in the comments below. Next up, Joseph, is the rearranged match between Dortmund and Monaco at the Westfalenstadion. Obviously, it had to be postponed the day before because of that well-publicised attack on the Dortmund bus, and unbelievably, UEFA make Dortmund play it the next day. What were they thinking?
Yeah, it's no surprise that Thomas Tuchel came out after the game and absolutely booted off, because at the end of the day, they put TV rights and sponsorship before players and fans. Players were not in the mindset to run out the day after a terror attack on their own team and put out a decent performance. Nuri Sahin was almost in tears after the game in the press conference. It was absolutely ridiculous, and it showed on the pitch as well. Dortmund were run ragged. They were all over the place. Monaco tore them apart like a wet paper bag, especially in the first half. Obviously, Dortmund conceded a penalty. Fabinho dragged it, a terrible effort. But Mbappe, he's so lively, he's so hard to stop. Dortmund were all over the place against him. He was over the back, he was coming short. Very, very, very impressive performance.
3 verries.
Yeah, he's now one of 2 players to score in their first 3 knockout games in Champions League history alongside Leroy Sané.
He's keeping good company there.
Very good company. Leroy Sané has been magical this season at times. And then Sven Bender's own goal hit the back of the net. To be fair, if he doesn't put it in his own net, Falcao taps into an open goal. So not too much shame in Bender's own goal. But Monaco had scored 2 or more goals in 25 of their 52 games this season. They just can't stop scoring. They are serious dark horses to win this competition. I don't see any team in the competition that can defend against Monaco.
Very dark horses. But, Joseph, the second half was a different story. Dortmund obviously refusing to be victims of the attack and of the scoreline of the match itself. Tuchel made 2 very positive changes, which influenced that second half greatly. He brought on Sahin and Pulisic. Or is it Pulisic?
Well, he likes to be called Pulisic. That's his own words.
Revelation from the commentator. We're going to call him Pulisic from now on.
Yes.
But yeah, he brought them pair on for Bender and Schmelzer, and the American very quickly went about taking the initiative to Monaco, tying the right back in knots, completing 3 dribbles on the night in 45 minutes. Guerrero, too, on that left-hand side of central midfield. He was getting some very testing crosses in early doors, but his man Dembele and Kagawa were Dortmund's shining lights on the night, my friend. Brightest sparks combining for Dortmund's first. An outrageous flick from Aubameyang, which I think he meant. You think he did?
I don't think he meant it. Do you think he meant it? Vote in the poll.
Vote in the poll. Cheeky poll. Anyway, so Dembele scores that opener, doesn't he? A little tap in, and then Kagawa scores a sublime second.
Great feat.
Great feet. Cuts in on the right, sends the keeper for a fucking hot dog. curls it into the bottom left. Usman Dembele as well, completing 7 dribbles on the night.
Jesus.
That is 4 more than Monaco's highest player, Kylian Mbappe. That kid is ridiculous. Imagine them in the same side. You would be fucking seasick for 90 minutes. Anyway, Shinji's classy goal. It brings Dortmund back into the tie. Can they reverse it in France? We know that Monaco can leak goals. Can Dortmund score them in France? Let us know in the comments below.
So that's all we've got time for on today's UEFA Champions League review. Chris Hamill, what should everybody watching do next?
They should go and watch last week's Star Wars where I batter Patrick Van Straan.
There we have it. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you later. Bye.
Come on, long section. Drink it
this.
in, whole page.
Me intro, yeah.